It has been a busy month here at Tabletop RPG Music, so I thought I would do a quick roundup of all the content released this month, including the extra content available to Patreon supporters. At the start of the month, I asked all of my top tier Patreon supporters what I should focus on for the month of February, and I got some great suggestions. I put all of those suggestions into a poll that the rest of the Patreon membership could vote on, and the winner? Exotic Ecosystems, a suggestion from OMFG Chris. Great username, great suggestion. The first track released this month was Alien Jungle. This was based on a couple of track suggestions I received from my top tier Patreon supporters. Ace Kokoran asked for a track reminiscent of the Horizon Zero Dawn and Jurassic Park soundtracks, and Roland asked for some music for an Alien Jungle. I put the two requests together and here's what came out. With this release, I trialled some new benefits for Bard tier supporters. The first and most exciting is alternate versions of tracks. I released 4 alternate versions of this track available exclusively to Bard tier supporters, the top tier supporters on my Patreon. The first was a no percussion version. The second was a no vocoder version, the vocoder being that synthesized vocal effect that you hear throughout this track. The third was a version which takes out the percussion and the vocoder for a much more stripped back feel. And finally, I released a slowed down version. And just like the folks in the Troubadour tier on my Patreon who get looping versions of my regular tracks, Bard tier supporters also get looping versions of these alternate tracks, both as a seamless looping file and also as a 1-hour version of the track, which loops over and over again with a nice clean start and a clean finish, so you can put the track on and forget. Another cool new benefit for Bard tier supporters is .wav versions of all of my tracks and the alternate versions. If you don't know, a .wav file is an uncompressed audio file, so if you love your super high quality audio, consider checking out the Bard tier on my Patreon. Moving briefly away from this month's track releases, I released all of my albums on Bandcamp. Bandcamp is an awesome platform because they do a much higher revenue split with the artist, which means if you buy my albums on Bandcamp, I make more money. So if you do want to buy the tracks outright, then that would be the place to do it. The next track released was Corrupted Forest. This was based on a track suggestion from Bard tier supporter Crystalline, who asked for a track for a Corrupted Forest encounter. I created 2 alternate versions of this for my top tier supporters, one that strips away some of the faster percussion for a more atmospheric feel, and another which strips away the creepy elements of the track and ramps up the tempo for a more percussion-focused combat feel. This release was part of a collaboration with two amazing creators. The first is Mark Drummond J, who created this Corrupted Forest map. I absolutely adore this map. I think the details on it are amazing, the colours chosen are really cool, it's kind of abstract in a really dynamic, interesting way, and Mark kindly agreed to share multiple variants of this with all of my Patreon supporters, so you can get this map in various different colour shades, as well as in gridded or no grid versions. I highly recommend checking out more of Mark's stuff. He creates really cool battle maps. You can find all of his stuff at patreon.com/Mark Drummond J. The second creator is Devin Knight, who created some amazing tokens for this collaboration. They're all kinds of creepy, kind of corrupted plant monster vibes. I really love them. There's 31 of them that he kindly shared in this collaboration. Again, available to all of my Patreon supporters across all the tiers. Devin is hugely talented, and you should go check out more of his stuff at patreon.com/Devin Knight. Stepping away again from the track releases this month, I am really pleased to show off this Tabletop RPG Music Mod for TaleSpire. This brings 80 tracks from my Tabletop RPG Music series into TaleSpire, and I'll be updating it more as I write more stuff. If you don't know what TaleSpire is, it's a really cool 3D virtual tabletop. I'd highly recommend checking it out. The previous video on my channel talks a bit more about how to get this mod working, so be sure to check that out if you're interested. The next track released this month was the Underdark. For this release, I created 3 alternate tracks. For Bard tier supporters, we have an extra creepy version. We have an orchestra and choir version, which I think makes this sound like almost an entirely different track. And if you like your ambient tracks super ambient, we have a half-speed version as well. Right towards the end of February, I released Tabletop RPG Music Volume 8, my 8th album, which has the 10 most recent tracks on it from this Tabletop RPG Music series, including the ones covered in this video. You can find that on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Bandcamp, and various other places. So I hope that is useful to you in your games. And the final track released this month was Otherworld. This one blends some synthy elements with more orchestral stuff to create this weird kind of hybrid sci-fi fantasy vibe. I created 2 alternate versions of this track for Bard tier supporters. We have a half-speed version if you really like your long, slow ambiences. And in the opposite direction, we have this rhythmic pulse version, which adds this synth bass kind of sound throughout to kind of give a more tense, suspenseful feel, a bit more actiony. So there we go, that was February. Busy month, yeah, very busy. Thank you to all of my Patreon supporters who have been great in giving me awesome suggestions, in helping me decide where to go next with the track, and generally for helping me write more tabletop RPG music. Your help is always massively valued, so thank you. And for a quick little sneak peek at what's coming in March, the voting has concluded on the monthly theme poll, and the winner is City Themes. City Themes, which was suggested by Ace Kukuran. It won by a landslide, so prepare for some city-based music. And if any of you are Bard tier supporters, my top tier supporters, you are welcome to leave any track suggestions you have within this theme, either direct to me or over on our Discord server. And even if you have a track suggestion which isn't related to this theme, feel free to send that along as well, because there's still a chance I might work on it. Okay, thanks so much. If this is the kind of video that is useful to have, do let me know. If you think this is just annoying and you'd rather I just only release music on this channel as opposed to things where I talk, also let me know and I will take that into account. Alright, bye!